Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Vishnupad, Paramahamsa, Parivrajacharya, Asatar, Satyashri Srimada's Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Shri Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Shai Mukunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dhama Ki Jai, Mathura Dhama Ki Jai, Navadvip Mayapur Dhama Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dhama Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Jamuna Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Tulsi Maharani ki jai, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nivasesa Sunyavadi Bhaskajade Satarane Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Sam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Panchakalpachubhishcha Kripa Sindhuvyavacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namah.
Her Grace Urmila Mataji ki.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dear devotees, I will ask Priya Radhika Mataji to come and introduce Mataji. Please.
Hare Krishna, everyone. We are very honored to have Her Grace Urmila Devi Dasi, Mother Urmila, here with us this evening. She is a Srila Prabhupada disciple from 1973, a long-time educator, author, and practitioner in ISKCON. She's very worldwide known for her thoughtful and scholarly activities to Vedic teachings. She has spent decades exploring the practical applications of dharma, education, and devotional service. She has a PhD in education and has been a primary and a secondary teacher for 27 years and has 19 years of experience with school management. She has been the chair of the Shastric Advisory Council of the GBC.
I still am. Unless they got rid of me yesterday.
I'm so sorry. She is the chair of the Shastric Advisory Council to the GBC.
Do you know something I don't know then? Did they throw me out while I was on the plane?
I'm so sorry. Yeah. And she was an associate editor of Back to Godhead for the last 30 years. Please all welcome Mother Urmila by saying 3 big Hari Bols. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Actually, that was for 30 years. I stopped in 2020. Yeah, I was an editor of BTG from 1990 to 2020. So that actually has been. That's a has been. Hopefully the other isn't a has been. I don't know. Well, eventually it will be a has been. So thank you very much for coming today. The last time I was in Cincinnati, I was a little kid. I must have been a very little kid because I don't even remember it. My father was born here, and both my parents grew up here. And so when I was very, very young, I remember visiting family here, but I must have been under the age of 10 since I was here. So this is my first time here as an adult. Thank you very much for having me here. So Srila Rupa Goswami tells us that we should always do what? What should we always do? Always remember Krishna and never forget him. Is that easy? It's easy. Oh, you don't need to be here for this seminar then. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says it's not so easy, and therefore we say, at least remember Krishna during your sadhana. At least remember Krishna when you're chanting Hare Krishna, when you're reading the Shastra. But we want to get to the point where we are conscious of Krishna all the time. Correct? So how to do that? Now, it's very interesting in the Bhagavad Gita. When, Arjuna keeps saying that he wants to walk away from the fighting and just be a beggar or something, right? And he keeps arguing with Krishna, you're telling me to do this buddhi yoga, this yoga of intelligence, and then you're telling me to fight, and those seem contradictory. So then finally Krishna's like, all right. If that's what you want to do, fine. So go to a sacred place, close your eyes, half closed, stare at the tip of your nose, forget about your family, just eat fruit and roots in the jungles, chant Om, and Arjuna's like, aha! Chanchala Himana Krishna, I said, my mind's too unsteady, and what happens to the people who try this and fail? So at the end of that chapter, Krishna says, Yogi nam api sarvesham madgaten antaratmana shadavam bhajate yomam samayuktatamo mataha. Those who always think of me are the greatest yogi. And then he goes on to talk about how to think of him. So you might assume that Krishna would start talking about how to think of him in his leelas, how to think of his transcendental form and his qualities, but he doesn't. What does he say in the 7th chapter? Think of me as the taste of water in the light of the sun. And it's very interesting that many times when Srila Prabhupada was asked, how do you see God? He would respond with these verses. Many times. If people would ask Prabhupada, are you seeing Krishna? He'd say, yes, and you can see also. Are you seeing the sunlight? I was recently in New Vrindavan, and Varshana Maharaj was telling me how Prabhupada met with some local farmers. And they said, you know, we don't have time to just chant Hare Krishna. And Prabhupada asked one of his disciples, what would you tell him? And this disciple started saying, well, in the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada says, no. Then some other devotee says, some philosophical thing. Prabhupada said, no. And he looked at the farmers, he said, do you see the sun? Do you see the rain? Where is that coming from? There's one time in Tokyo when one young man said, how do I see God? And Prabhupada said, you see God as God is directing. See him in the taste of water and the light of the sun. Prabhupada particularly liked that verse from the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So one of the reasons that I joined the Hare Krishna movement and left the religion of my own family was that I wanted a way to be spiritual all the time. And I find it interesting that in our Hare Krishna movement, mostly what we teach people is sadhana, which is good and right, and I'm glad we do that. But that's not enough. Just teaching people, okay, you should have a regular time when you do some prayer and meditation and worship and study. That's good. But what about the rest of the time? Now you'll notice that Bhagavad Gita is also about the rest of the time. Mam anusram yujacha, think of me while you're fighting. Doesn't seem very meditative to me. I don't know, I mean, at least I can't remember any lifetime in which I've been a warrior, so maybe it is meditative, I don't know. But it seems rather distracting. I mean, if people were trying to kill me, like seriously, actually trying to kill me, and if I was trying to kill them, seriously, I mean, it's hard for me to imagine something like that. But if I do my best to try to imagine that, it seems like something where it would be very difficult to think of anything other than staying alive and killing them. But Krishna is saying, while you're doing this, you should remember me. So a lot of my interest in the Hare Krishna movement is teaching people to do this. So I'm not going to be teaching career dharma here, but I have some career dharma books. Evidently Chandramouli Maharaj told you all to buy one. I don't think I only brought 5 with me. So you'll have to get them online when we run out. But career dharma is how to spiritualize your work. How to do the mam anusmam yujicha, that whatever you're doing, whether you're a software engineer, whether you're a medical doctor, whether you're working in a bank, whether you're at home washing dishes, whatever you're doing, how to spiritualize your work. And what we're going to look at tonight is how to find Krishna in everything around us. So I worked for several years with this one devotee, Kamala Sita, on this book. It has, I think we have like 20 copies here. It has 4 sections. One is about how to find Krishna in earth, water, fire, air. Do you guys know Nadia Mani, the Kirtanier? She's married to Amala Harina. She did the illustrations for this. And the section we're going to look at tonight is from the Bhagavad Gita. So what Krishna says he is in the Bhagavad Gita. That's this section here. And we've done this book in like lots of just little meditations. You don't have to read this book cover to cover. You can just open it anywhere and look at one of the pictures or read one of the little meditations and say, well, I'm going to meditate on this today. Then we also have a section, which I don't know if I'll get to do that, probably not tonight, from the Bhagavatam of the universal form, and how we can see from the 2nd canto, from the 8th canto, like his 2 nostrils are the generating center of breathing and of all other airs. So we have all of these from the Bhagavatam. And then we have at the end, oh, this is a nice one, the ocean is his waist. I always like that. And at the very end, we have from the Nectar Devotion, from Krishna's 64 qualities, how we can be reminded of Krishna's 64 qualities in the world. So tonight we're going to be looking at the Bhagavad Gita. And I understand that Mahatma Prabhu regularly comes here? Yes? Is that true? Okay. So we have a special surprise for those of you who stayed at the end of the class. We have a special surprise from Mahatma Prabhu. Okay. So what time am I supposed to end? Huh? No time. Okay, well, I don't know about the rest of you, but I have this funny thing called a physical body, and it has to do this funny thing called sleep. No time. Okay. And do you have prasadam afterwards? You do, okay. And we have a limited number of books if you're interested. We also have, this is a nice book also to read with your family. But we have a book about chanting, how to chant, how to become free of the 10 offenses. We have a novel, a Krishna conscious novel, how to go from material life to Krishna prema. So that's not for kids, it's written for adult level, although teenagers also like it. And then the Bhagavad Gita, that's actually a book, a teaching book on the Bhagavad Gita. It's a simplified study guide. It was written for use in Gurukulas, like age 5 to 18, though I know a lot of adults who like it as a simplified study guide with 48 key verses and chapter summaries and things like that. All right, you ready to find Krishna in everywhere and everything? All righty. So we're going to start with chapter 7. So Krishna says that he is Om. Actually, he says this 3 times, that he is Om. So in the beginning of creation, what first created the whole material universe is sound. And that sound is Om. And actually everything is pervaded by sound, from subtle to gross. So even the gross elements, just like this is solid matter, but you all know that it's actually not really that solid, correct? You all remember that in science? It's really mostly space. And the molecules and the atoms here are in motion, correct? So if there's motion, then there's vibration and there's sound. And actually this sound Om is pervading everything. And perhaps one of the most interesting is that Krishna says that he is all sounds. And Srila Prabhupada likes to talk about this as well. And there's at least one lecture where he says, if you don't want to chant Hare Krishna, you can find Krishna in all the sounds. So this is a very quiet room. Okay, we can hear a little bit of traffic. I like this one because this is a real intellectual challenge, and I like intellectual challenges. I mean, you'll hear some sound and then to think, how is that Krishna? How is the person coughing? How is that Krishna? How is the car in the road? How is that Krishna? How is that sound Krishna? How is that sound Krishna? And Prabhupada talking about this, he says actually all sound is originally spiritual. When we see that it's connected with Krishna, then it regains its spiritual quality. The sound of your water, of rustling fabric. How is that Krishna? So I really like meditating on this one. And it's something you can meditate on pretty much always because there's almost always some sort of sound. How is that Krishna? Seed. This is another thing Krishna says 3 times, that he is the seed. So of course, bhakti is often compared to a seed. That we have already the seed of bhakti dormant in our heart. Don't ever let anyone tell you that bhakti is not dormant in us. Srila Prabhupada used the philosophical point of bhakti being dormant in everyone as his rationale for being able to take Krishna consciousness to all the different cultures and people of the world. Because Krishna consciousness is not a sectarian religion from a particular culture. Everybody originally has love for Krishna. We all have this seed. And just like any seed, unless it has water, unless it has warmth, it's not going to germinate. So this seed of bhakti needs this water and warmth coming from Guru, coming from Shastra, in order to germinate. But Krishna says, I am the seed. So Krishna is righteous romance. Whenever you see husband and wife, they're loving, they're respectful, they're considerate, they're raising children with affection in spiritual life. That is Krishna. The strength of the strong, devoid of passion and desire. Whenever people are using their strength to protect others, to care for others, that is Krishna. The heat in fire. So we can become aware that there is heat in this room. There's definitely heat in this room. Can you become aware of the heat in the room? And there's heat in our own bodies. Many years ago, one devotee gave me this scientific video that started out with some scientists saying that the universe is a cold, impersonal machine. But that's not a fact. Krishna is heat, he is warmth. So we associate warmth with life. When the soul leaves the body becomes cold, correct? And we also associate warmth with love. We talk about it, a warm embrace as opposed to a cold look. Whenever we are aware of heat, we can remember that Krishna is full of life and full of love. And this is something we can always remember. There's always some heat. Even outside on a cold day, there's some heat or we would immediately die, correct? Or even when it's really cold, maybe you walk into your warm house, you build a bonfire outside. Krishna is the heat and fire, the original fragrance of the earth. So our smell particularly alerts us to purity and impurity. Smell is one of the main ways we have of telling whether or not something is pure or impure, whether it's healthy or unhealthy. And you know that the majority of our concept of taste is actually smell. Our taste in and of itself has just 6, 7 gross abilities. But all the varieties of flavor that we find in food are from smell. And the smell is coming from the earth. It's Krishna. And how amazing is it? I mean, we have, of course, different smells of different flowers. So here we have carnations, which smell a little different than chrysanthemums. And I'm sure these roses have absolutely no smell at all. But actually, roses that have smell. And how is it that all these different flowers are growing out of the same earth, and yet there's so many varieties of fragrances? Srila Prabhupada says that even if you don't study the scripture and you don't have a guru, you can find God in the fragrance of a flower. But these various fragrances are there in the food that we eat. If you think of the different tastes of the different food, each different type of bean has a different taste. Each kind of grain has a different taste. Each kind of vegetable has a different taste. And those fragrances are coming from the earth. This is something one can meditate on, right? When burning incense, when smelling flowers, when eating food, that each of these fragrances is actually Krishna. And the Bhagavatam, it says that all the rasa, all the pleasure, is on the tongue of the Lord. And of course, when we're eating prasadam, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, what we're eating is the taste of God, this special flavor. If you took all those same ingredients and you didn't offer them to Krishna, they'd be lacking that special flavor that comes from the touch of Krishna's lips and Krishna's tongue as he's tasting the food and imbuing it with all different tastes. The penances of ascetics. So what is penance? Penance means you do something wrong and we do something to fix it, correct? Right? You break something, you clean it up, maybe you buy a new one. You damage a relationship, you apologize. The most basic type of penance is an apology. Our apologies, genuine apologies, are they easy or hard? Hard, they're very hard. Right? And one time, this one devotee posted something on social media. He said, my superiors have told me to apologize, so for any of you who are so sensitive that you were bothered by what I wrote, I'm very sorry for that. A genuine apology is really hard. One has to admit to oneself and to whoever one offended that we did some breach of trust, had some breach of respect, that we acted in a way that was on some level evil and cruel and selfish. And we want to put things back into balance. Now Krishna says that he is penance. He says, tapo me hridayam sakshat. That tapasya is my very heart. And atmaham tapaso. That's from Bhagavatam 2.9.23, right before the Chatur Sloki. Atmaham tapaso. Atma aham. I myself am tapasya. Now this is very interesting because Krishna doesn't do anything wrong. Of course, in Leela he appears to, steal butter and yogurt from the neighbors' houses and not show up to meet Radharani when he said he would, and things like this. I mean, he appears to do something wrong for which he also apologizes. But this essence of penance is keeping everything balanced. And Krishna is the ultimate in balance. And this necessity, especially for all of us, or especially for conditioned souls like me, this necessity to put things back into balance. Because until we're 100%, absolutely 100% in Krishna Prema, we are going to sometimes mess up. Yes? If you think you never mess up, then you have a real arrogance problem. But we are going to sometimes mess up, and in fact we may mess up on a regular, rather frequent basis. But then again, we put things back into balance. And when we do that, that's Krishna. We're right there with Krishna. I am the life of all that lives. Can we become aware that we are alive? To stop and feel my aliveness. My sense of being full of life. I'm full of life. And in this room are so many other people who are also full of life. And so many little microscopic beings that are also full of life. And outside so many plants and insects and birds and people. The whole world is full of aliveness. And that aliveness is Krishna. That sense of being alive. I am the intelligence of the intelligent. So all of us have some intelligence, and we do smart things sometimes, right? Isn't that cool when that happens? You do something like, whoa, that was smart. Just remembering, I think I was 9. and I was doing a puppet show for school, and I wanted to have 3 puppets, but I only have 2 hands. So I figured out how to make this 3rd puppet out of like wood and cardboard so that I could move its mouth with my toe. Even now, remembering that, it's like, whoa, that was smart. That's Krishna. The prowess, the teja of all powerful people. This is skilled strength. Teja also is the result of good health. Ojas and tejas, according to Ayurveda, are the result of good digestion and good health. When we're radiating good health and energy, or when we have some skilled strength that we've practiced, that is Krishna. I am the light of the sun. So this also Krishna says 3 times. So I don't think we have any sunlight in here at all. First of all, the sun's gone down. Yeah, so the only sunlight we have here is indirect through the artificial light. So do you have any idea where the electricity is coming from here? That's useful. Okay. Can we go one step further? Do you know where they're getting it from? The power grid. All right. Where are they getting that from? They use solar. They're using solar. Nuclear. Geothermal. Here in Ohio, geothermal. I doubt it. Nuclear. None of you know where you're getting your, you just turn on the light. Oh, there it goes. You're all just guessing. Even somebody says geothermal in Ohio. That's highly unlikely. It's mixed from what? Oh, okay. So all of those are related to the sun. All the fossil fuel and the coal is ultimately produced by the sun, correct? And of course solar, well duh. But even wind and hydro is also connected to the sun. It's because of the sun that the wind's blowing and the water's being evaporated and so forth. So even this light is indirectly the light of the sun. Well, and the sunlight, it gives us knowledge, it gives us ability to work, it gives us ability to understand. And this is something every day we're seeing some sunlight, even if it's a very cloudy day. And remember, oh, Krishna is this light. Again, we're often like unconscious. We're just kind of walking outside and, oh, it's light outside. Just remember that this sunlight is actually Krishna. And the light of the moon. So it was a full moon yesterday. We had a beautiful moon rising in the sky on the way here. It can remind us of Krishna's nighttime romantic pastimes, just the beauty of the moon and the light of the moon. Right? Giving us an ability to see so much even at night is Krishna. And our ability, this is something we can easily meditate on at any time. So right now, all of you, try wiggling your toes or your fingers. How are you doing that? We have no idea how we're doing that. How do we see? How do we hear? How do we think? All of our abilities. This is an easy way to remember Krishna at any time, because we're always having some ability to write on paper, right? Ability to look at your phone, ability to stick your nose inside your sweatshirt. Where'd you get that ability? I mean, we take it for granted when we have it, but if you don't have it. So last May, I broke my right hand, and I really was, I was like, wow, I'd never really appreciated having 2 hands until I didn't. I had to brush my teeth with my left hand, and it was very difficult. And I thought, I hope I never forget. My ability to have a hand that works. We just do things and take it for granted that we can just do things. But everything we do, that's actually Krishna, that ability. And then, of course, the taste of water. Now, this may seem like it was long ago and far away, but do you remember when it was summertime? Right? It's really hot out, and you're working really, really hard out in the hot sun, and you're sweating. Do you remember that? Long, long, long ago? And then you come in and you get this drink of nice cold water, and this taste of pure water. I was somewhere in Europe with one of my grandkids, and the devotees there took us to some remote area where there used to be a monastery, and there was this clear spring of water, pure water. And I remember my grandson was drinking some of it, and he said, Krishna is really the taste of this water. Now, actually, rasoham apsukanteya, it means any kind of liquid. Prabhupada would even say the alcoholics can remember Krishna in the taste of their wine and eventually become saintly persons that way. But anything that we're drinking, that taste is Krishna. All right, so that's chapter 7. We're going to go on now to chapter 9. So I am the ritual. So rituals, all of us have rituals in our life, right? Yeah? So when I visit my youngest son, he puts everything in the dishwasher. And then the plates, when you take the clean stuff out, the plates go over there and the cups go over there. And I visit my oldest son, he's very particular. Wooden things cannot go in the dishwasher. And anything that has writing on it, like a glass measuring cup with that can't go in the dishwasher. And in his house, the plates go over there and the cups go over there. So they have different rituals. And those rituals are what they like. So these different rituals that we do, these are given by Krishna, that this is what he likes. This is the way he likes them. So those rituals are also Krishna. And then he is the yajna. And Prabhupada usually translates the word yajna as sacrifice, which is an interesting English word, because usually sacrifice means giving up something that you like. But a yajna it can be a sacrifice, of course, but it is some kind of ceremony by which you can connect with the divine. So if we want to connect with people, we have to do some sort of ceremony, right? So I have one granddaughter whose birthday is tomorrow, okay? But she lives in Hawaii, so it's a different time zone. So if I want to connect with her, I have to do a ceremony. I have to have a phone. My phone has to be in a network, has to be charged. I have to put in the right number, and then it has to be the right time. If it's not the right time, instead of connecting with her, I'll annoy her. She'll say, Grandma, why are you calling me at 1 a.m? So most of these Vedic ceremonies are like that. You have to do them in a very certain way, a certain time, with certain mantras, otherwise you won't make the connection. So these different ways of connecting are what Krishna likes. Just like even human beings have different ways of connecting. I have so many different apps for connection because I have all different people who want to be connected with in different ways. Right? I have my son who works for Microsoft, so he wants to connect on Teams. And then I have my friend who doesn't want to use anything from Meta because they're taking all of your data, so I have to connect with her on SMS. Then I have other people who only like to use Messenger because it has some bubble that comes up on their phone, and they can do other things at the same time. So I have all different ways I have to connect, and I have people who want to use Telegram. And how many different apps do I have for connection? I don't know, probably at least 6 of them that I have to use for different people because they have different ways that they want to connect. So these different yajnas are Krishna saying, this is the way I want to connect with you. You want to reach me? You want to communicate with me? This is the way. And because there's no difference between Krishna and Krishna's desire, therefore the rituals that make up the yajnas and the yajnas themselves are also Krishna. The offering to the ancestors. So Krishna very much cares about maintaining good and proper family traditions and respecting elders and keeping culture. Of course, this was one of Arjuna's arguments against the fighting, that it would mess up tradition, it would mess up culture. The healing herb. So all of us know what it's like to be sick and take some medicine and feel better. And even a lot of the modern pharmaceuticals are derived from plants, right? Or they're synthesized some chemical that's originally in plants. This active principle of healing. And something to remember, right? Whenever we're taking any kind of medicine, oh, Krishna he's the active principle of healing in the medicine. The transcendental chant, so Krishna says he's all sounds, so of course he's especially the sound of his name. So he's the ritual, he's the yajna, and he's all the ingredients. Every aspect. And every religion talks about God as the Father. So all of us have fathers. I hope that you all have a good relationship with your father. Many of you probably are fathers. And every day we are seeing so many fathers. So if we think about what is a good father provides for the children's education and food and clothing and shelter and extra things too, toys, friends, right? Sports. So if you take like your ideal father, and you can multiply that thousands and thousands of times, the love and the concern, the care, that is Krishna. But he also says that he's the mother. So what does it mean, mother? We grow inside the body of our mother. We're nourished by the body of our mother. And you know, Mother Yasoda, when she looks in Krishna's mouth, she sees that we're all in his body. That's such a funny thing. When Lord Brahma is saying his prayers in the 14th chapter of the 10th canto, he says, Mother Yasoda looked in your mouth and saw that we were all there, including Lord Brahma. She saw Lord Brahma there. And Lord Brahma is saying, how am I talking to you outside? Because Mother Yasoda didn't see a picture or a movie. I mean, she actually saw herself. She actually saw Lord Brahma. What do you think, ladies? How is that possible? How can Lord Brahma be inside Krishna's abdomen and yet talking to him outside while he's inside? Is that possible? Inconceivable, isn't it? So we're actually all inside the body of the Lord. And we're nourished from his body. All of the food we're getting, all of the air, the water, it's all coming from his body. And both parents, but I think perhaps especially mothers, tend to love their children no matter what, isn't it? Right? Even the child becomes a heinous criminal, the mother still has love for the child. She may think it's a good idea that he's in prison, but she still loves the child. So Krishna always loves us, even when we really mess up. He never stops loving us. He never stops feeling affection towards us. And I am the support. So what supports us? So the foundations of the buildings supports us, the earth supports us. We say, how does he support himself? We usually mean your work. Maybe our families, our friends, the companies we work for. But all of those things can crumble, right? Yes? Correct? But Krishna never crumbles. He's always there. He's always there as our support. And the grandfather. So Prabhupada says that the grandparents are even more affectionate than the parents. My granddaughter's husband likes to quote this thing from the Bhagavatam that says that the grandson can joke with his grandmother. So there's especially affectionate relationship between the grandparents and the grandchildren. And the object of knowledge. So Louis Pasteur said that when he studied a little bit of science, he became an atheist, but when he studied a lot of science, he became a theist. That the more we study the world, the more we can see that there must be an intelligent creator, there must be an intelligent maintainer. I mean, this is such a simple argument. It's difficult for me to understand. I mean, atheists do have one good argument. But it's difficult for me to understand how anybody can ultimately be an atheist. And let's take something really simple. Okay, like this piece of fabric that's over that table. That's pretty simple, right? But a 2-year-old couldn't have made that. Or a chimpanzee. In fact, making this fabric is actually extremely complex. I don't know what kind of fabric it is, but let's just imagine that it's cotton. So somebody had to grow the cotton, and then it had to be combed and cleaned and spun and woven and then dyed. And even if you say that's done by a factory, somebody has to build the factory. It's extremely complicated. I was watching this video once about what it takes to make pencils. You know, like where the wood comes from and the graphite and the eraser, and it's such a simple thing, a graphite pencil, but actually it's extremely complicated and it requires a lot of intelligence. And a piece of cloth or a pencil is nothing compared to a living cell. Scientists today do not fully understand the workings of one cell. It's more complicated than the whole city of Cincinnati. So the more that we study knowledge, the more we'll find that there must be an intelligent, creative, amazing person behind everything. And the purifier. So we all purify ourselves. We take a bath, we wash our clothes, we clean our houses. Maybe we do more purification, maybe we do some special diet sometimes, or maybe someone, goes to some sort of therapy to purify their mind. But the active principle in all of these things is Krishna. Without Krishna, none of these would be affected. And again, Krishna says that he is Om. So we might think that Om is very simple. One syllable, Om. How can that be God? So people also often think that Krishna is very simple. Lord Brahma thought this, Indra thought this. Oh, Krishna is just a little boy herding his cows. How can he be God? Yes, and then Krishna showed that he could expand as all of the cowherd boys and the calves in infinite number of Vishnu forms, worshipped by all of the universes. I am the goal. Prabhupada says if we're dissatisfied, it means that we don't have a clear goal in life. When we're setting goals and working toward them and attaining them, that is Krishna. And the sustainer. We can ask, well, what keeps us alive? Okay, air. Does anyone know what the next important thing is after air? No, you can go days without water. What's the next most important thing after air? Not water. You can go at least 3-4 days without water, sometimes 7, up to 10 sometimes. Okay, without air, we need air like in 6 minutes we can go maybe. But this next thing, maybe 20 minutes max, we can go without it. Temperature. It gets too hot, too cold, we're finished. So air, temperature, water, food. We can think of what sustains us emotionally. Our family, our friends, our hobbies, our recreation. But actually it's Krishna sustaining us. Did I say something wrong? You want to correct me? That's all right, you can correct me. Did I say something wrong? Yes? No? Something you want to add? So ultimately, it's Krishna sustaining us. And he's sustaining us even the body's finished. He's still sustaining us spiritually. And the master. Well, this is not very popular in 2025. That Krishna is the master. There's so many books written on leadership. Not very many books written on servitorship. I don't know very many parents who say to their kids, I want you to grow up and be a servant. That's why I want you to grow up and be a leader. How many of you have ever had a really good boss? Anybody here ever had a really, really good boss? Wow. That's the greatest percentage of hands raised anytime I've asked this of any audience. You're very, very fortunate. So you know, when you have a good boss, you can just relax and do your work, isn't it? You know, the boss is taking care of the management stuff. I don't need to worry about it. Twice in my life, I've had a really good boss. Like, you can just do what you need to do. Like, just do my job. And they're taking care of everything. You're just peaceful. Right? And you know you're going to be taken care of. So Krishna's that kind of a master. He's that kind of a master that when we work for him, we can just focus on our service and we know that Krishna's got everything under control. So there's a really nice story I read by a Christian author. He said that he and his wife and their 2 children, ages 3 and 5, got in the car. So they're driving, and first they stop at a grocery store, and he waits in the car with the kids. Wife goes out and buys some things. And then they stop at a gas station. So he gets out, puts gas in the car, pays for the gas. Then they stop at a friend's house. His wife gets out and drops some of the groceries off at the friend's house. Then driving down the highway, he's driving too fast, and the police come with the siren and the lights, and give him a ticket. And then they're driving another 10 minutes, and his 3-year-old says, Daddy, where are we going? And he thought, wow, we've already been in the car like 45 minutes. And from the perspective of a 3-year-old, like, okay, we're driving, we stop, we wait, mommy gets out of the car, brings some bags in, we stop again, daddy goes, does something funny to the car, then we stop again, mommy comes out, then we stop for these lights, and she doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't even know where they're going. But he thought all this time she was happy in the car because it was something that she knew. And that was who was driving. So often we don't understand what's happening in our life. Just had a long conversation with this one devotee, and she was saying, this isn't going right, and this isn't going right, and this isn't going right. Where's Krishna? So we don't always understand what's happening. We don't even know where we're going, but we know who's driving. And Krishna's the master. And he's a good master. And I am the witness, so we don't always like this one also. Oops. Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hridesha Arjunatisati. Krishna's always the witness. He's there as the light of the sun. He's there as my very life. He's there in my heart. He not only sees everything I do, he sees everything I think, everything I feel. Ouch. It's not quite like that. You can try an experiment. You can go at the end of a day to someone who loves you, who genuinely loves you, and you can say, would you like to listen for me talk for 2 hours about everything I did today? Most likely after 10 minutes they would be bored. But Krishna's interested. He's actually interested in everything we do, everything we think, everything we feel. He's the only one who's that interested. I guarantee you. He really, really cares. I am the abode. This is a nice one. How do we feel when we go home, right? I can relax, I can be myself, I can be authentic in my home. Actually, Krishna's everywhere. And at any moment, we can rest in him as our abode, as our authentic self. But this is something we can remember every time we go home. Every time you walk in your home, Krishna is the abode. And the refuge. Prabhupada compares Krishna to an umbrella in 321:17 purport. He says that Krishna is an umbrella sheltering us from the sun, from the rain of life. Actually, on Krishna's right hand, there's an umbrella. Right there. And then on his right foot also, there's an umbrella. Something nice to think about sometimes during japa, and when we're chanting under the shade of Krishna's feet or under the shelter of Krishna's hand, that he's an umbrella sheltering us from the material energy. And the most dear friend, so I hope everyone here has at least one friend. Everybody have at least one friend. So what's a friend? Somebody that we can feel some sense of equality with, that they really know us. We do fun things with them. If we have some trouble, they'll take care of us. They have some trouble, we'll take care of them. They have our back, we have their back. So again, you take this concept of friend, we multiply it millions and millions of times. What a dear friend Krishna is. And the creation and the annihilation. So we find both of these fascinating. Like little children, they like to a relay, microphone relay. Okay, there we go. So little children, they make towers out of blocks, and then what do? They knock them over. It's fun. We're all interested. We're just as interested to see buildings demolished as buildings built, correct? I was reading about this one lady, the way she makes her living is she makes videos of knocking down buildings. Like with, like domino buildings. She builds these buildings, that complicated buildings out of blocks, and then knocks them down. And so many people watch them that's how she pays her bills. The basis of everything. So secularism means telling the story of the world and the story of my own life without reference to God. God's out of it. When I was first making children's books to teach children how to read, which we're now reprinting. Any of you who use the Learn to Read books, they are now being reprinted. So I was examining a lot of the literacy books that were made in America, UK, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, and so forth. And one of the things I found was that God was absent. Even sometimes they'd have a story about religious holidays. There might be a book where it showed like people celebrating Diwali or Christmas or something, but there was no God. It was just the cultural trappings of the holiday. But actually, Krishna is the basis of everything. Our joys and our sorrows. All of our experiences. Underneath that, it's Krishna. Again, we may not always see. I forget what it's called. It starts with a B, I think, and it's a long word that I don't know how to pronounce. But perhaps some of you have seen that if you want to take a ball and have it get from one point to another the fastest, that actually to have it in that, what's that called? It's a kind of curving pattern. Yeah. I don't remember how to pronounce it. Maybe some of you could look it up and tell me later. But if you actually take on an inclined plane and you just put a ball and have it go down, or if you put it on like this wave pattern, the one in the wave will go faster. So it may seem like the ups and downs of our life are a distraction. It may seem like, well, if I want to become a pure devotee, if I want to reach spiritual perfection, it should just be like this straight thing. But really, all of the so-called ups and downs are getting us there faster. And Krishna is the basis of all of them. Not only the ups, but also the downs. There are some of us who only pray to the Lord when things are down, and some of us only remember Him when things are up. We want to remember that Krishna is the basis of everything. The resting place, this is one that I meditate on a lot. Every night when I go to sleep, I think, oh, Krishna is the resting place. But even just, you're walking a long time and you sit down and rest, Krishna is the resting place. He's the place for refuge, for respite, for peace. Maybe a mental resting place. I really liked getting the pictures for this one. And again, he says he's the seed. Now here he says he's a general seed. The seeds of so many things. This is not only a physical seed, the seeds of our relationships, our ideas, our projects, our jobs, our houses, or everything. Krishna is the seed of everything. And he gives heat. He is the heat, and he's giving the heat. I withhold and send forth the rain. I think I was about 9 or 10. I was driving with my parents in the car, and it was raining on our side of the road and not on the other side, like right down the line. And of course, the rain has to end someplace, right? But until that point, I'd never thought about it. It's raining, it's just raining. I didn't think that there was a border. It was funny to be right there at the border. Krishna is sending the rain, he's withholding the rain. So when our oldest son was about a year old, we were living in the Boston temple, and in the ashram there was a sink in the hallway. And so our son would take like a cup or a container and he'd toddle over to the sink and he'd wait till somebody came by, and then he'd hold up his container and say, water, water, water. So of course, he's really cute, and so they gave him water. And if you give water to a 1-year-old, what are they going to do with it? He would spill it on the floor. And then what do they do with it? They play with it. Stamp in it, play with it. And then the devotees would get on my case and say, Urmila, your kid's making a mess with water. I said, but you're the one giving him the water. They said, well, he comes and says, water, water. So Krishna sometimes gives the water and sometimes he turns it off. Immortality and death. Prabhupada often talks about how Krishna says he's death, that even the atheists, they find God in death. If you don't want to surrender everything to Krishna, he'll take it anyway as death. When Sukracharya was trying to convince Bali Maharaj not to give everything to Krishna, Bali said, why not give him everything that's going to be taken anyway at death? But Krishna is not only death, he's also immortality. Nahanyate hanyamane sharire. The soul doesn't die. There's something beyond death. So both are Krishna. So we did chapter 7 and 9. Now we're going to go on to chapter 10. Beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. Our being babies and youthful and middle age and old age is Krishna. And again he says he's the sun. So in the sun we feel courage, we feel enthusiasm, we feel energy. Among the stars, I am the moon. We see the moon surrounded by stars. We can remember Krishna surrounded in Ras Leela by the gopis, or sitting surrounded by the cowherd boys in a picnic. The mind. So of course, we Bhakti yogis, we might think our mind is troublesome. but actually is the master of the senses and therefore represents Krishna. And Prabhupada talks about when Krishna is giving instructions to the gopis at Kurukshetra, that actually anything we can think of has to be within the jurisdiction of Krishna's energy. And that if we remember that, then we can also purify our mind. So living force or consciousness. Can we become aware that we are aware? I'm aware of how I'm sitting, where my feet are. I'm aware of where my ears are. Even if I close my eyes, I'm aware of the space behind me and in front of me and to the sides of me. I'm actually full of awareness. And everyone else in this room is also full of awareness. Even the plants have an awareness of where is the sun, where is water. That consciousness that pervades the world is Krishna. And he says he is Lord Shiva. Of course, Lord Shiva causes the destruction. And Lord Shiva is in charge of the difficult beings in the universe. So one of my godbrothers, he's now retired, but he worked as a physician in the maximum security prison for the criminally insane. So that's like the job of Lord Shiva in the universe. So I am the ocean. So the ocean is very deep, very broad, full of life, but it looks very homogeneous. It looks simple. So we see Krishna, he looks like a simple little boy, but actually he's very deep, very broad, and full of so many wonderful pastimes. And again, he says that he is Om. So Srila Jiva Goswami explains with Prabhupada quotes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that the Krishna says he's the letter and Om is made of right? So any of you who study Sanskrit, I'm sure many of you study Sanskrit growing up in India. Yes. So English doesn't work like that. Like most languages, you don't say one vowel right after another. You do in Hawaiian. Like we say Hawaii. We say one vowel after another. We don't have very many English words like that. Few of them, like vacuum, is like that. But generally, we don't make one vowel sound right after another. And so when you have two vowels together, they join and make a new sound. So like C-R-E-A-M, the short E is like in pet, and the short A is like apple, but you don't say cre-em. We put them together and say a new sound, cream. But this sound, E, has no relationship to the or the a. But in Sanskrit, it's not like that. When you put two vowels together, the new vowel sound of the combination of those sounds is actually the combination of those sounds. So like a-u, if you say a-u, 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 becomes o. And that's where you get the o in Om. So it comes from a-u and then the anushwar. So the a is Krishna. Srila Jiva Goswami says the u is his Shakti, Srimati Radharani, and the is Anushwar, that's all of us, the Jivas. So Om is everything, Krishna and his Shakti and the Jivas. By the way, in the Hare Krishna mantra, we have Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, so we have the Shakti of the Lord and the Lord. And you might say, well, where are the Jivas? Where are we? But the Hare Krishna mantra is in what's called the vocative, where you're talking to somebody. You know, like in English, if someone's named Susan, Susan goes to the store, and hey, Susan is the same. But in Sanskrit, it's not like that. In Sanskrit, actually, if you were speaking to me in Sanskrit, you wouldn't say Urmila, you'd say Urmile. You would change the form. And the word Urmile only makes sense if somebody's talking. So when we say Hare Krishna Rama, somebody has to be talking. Otherwise, if it's Krishna walking, it's Krishna. It's not Krishna. So there we are implicit in the Hare Krishna mantra. And Krishna says he's all yagyas, but he's especially the chanting of the holy names. We were talking about how other yagyas, you have to get exactly the right timing, the right pronunciation, right? But with the holy name, you can chant anywhere. You can chant the holy name in the bathroom. You can chant the holy name in a bus. You can chant the holy name in your bed. You can chant the holy name in a temple. You can chant loudly. You can chant quietly. You can chant in your mind. When you're happy, when you're sad, when you're angry, when you're frustrated, when you're confused, when you're inspired. It doesn't matter. There's no rules at all for chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, except one shouldn't offend the name. So Krishna is especially that yajna. And he is the Himalayas, so you don't see any Himalayas here. There's not very many mountains in Ohio, in Kentucky, is there? You have mountains? Small hills. Oh, maybe this isn't a good thing to meditate on. It's called the City of Seven Hills, but they're really tiny hills, huh? They're like just namly-pamly little hills. Well, maybe when you look at them, you could remember that there are mountains like the Himalayas, and that Krishna is those immovable Himalayas. And you don't have any banyan trees here either. But I'm assuming most of you have seen banyan trees. Yes, like in Delhi, there's tons of them. Like every street has a banyan tree on it. And you've seen big banyan trees. And really big banyan trees, you can't tell where they begin and where they end. You can't tell what's the original trunk. And the king. So somehow, even in 2025, people are still interested in royalty. I'm not quite sure why. Like British royalty still seems to garner a lot of headlines and interest. What to speak of, and they're not even like real royalty anymore. But imagine actual wonderful royalty. And then the thunderbolt, lightning. Yes. That pulls the nitrogen out of the air and puts it in the ground for the plants, illuminates everything. Sometimes we have a lightning bolt of realization and understanding that just breaks up all of our doubts and our difficulties like amazing weapons. And the Surabhi cows that can give as much milk as you desire or anything you desire. So Krishna says, Eko Bhajanam Yo Vidadati Kaman. From the beginning of time, he's been fulfilling everyone's desire. So this is Pradyumna and his wife Rati. So there are many reasons why people have children, but Krishna says of all of those reasons, he is the love between the husband and wife. And he is Yamaraj. So sometimes it appears that good people suffer and bad people are enjoying, but we know that there is a universal justice system managed by Yamaraj, and ultimately everything is fair. Among subduers, I am time. Everything gets worn away by time. We may try to use time, to beat time, to save time, look forward in time, but ultimately time is wearing away everything. But if we remember that Krishna is time, then in this moment, 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 I can connect with Krishna, and therefore I will not feel that time is taking away my desires in this world. The lion that roars and scares all the other animals, like when Krishna speaks in the Bhagavad Gita and the demons run away. The wind. If you hang up your laundry outside, I don't know if anybody ever does that. Now that artificially they put it in a dryer, and then people put chemicals in the dryer to try to pretend the clothes smell nice. But when you hang up your clothes outside, they naturally smell nice from the air. Or if you have a musty room and you open up the windows, and then that nice fresh smell drives away all of the mildew and the mold. Parasuram, who roots out corruption in government. Whenever we find somebody who's challenging government and rooting out corruption and lies, we can remember Parasuram. And then the Makara. So Makara is a mythical creature, and there's no English translation. Prabhupada will translate Makara sometimes as shark, sometimes as crocodile, and sometimes as dolphin. So Ganga rides in a Makara, Kupa rides in a Makara. Krishna has Makara earrings. And then the Ganga, Paranakanira Janita Janapavana, this spiritual water from beyond the universe that enters from the nails of Vamandev's toes. The beginning, the middle, and the end. The top of the sandwich, the middle of the sandwich, the bottom of the sandwich. The start of the journey, the destination, the going home, the preparing a festival, the having a festival, the cleaning up after a festival. That is all Krishna. Then to know oneself. So Krishna says in the 6th chapter that when we know ourself, we will relish and rejoice in ourself. We will think there's nothing further to be known, and we won't be disturbed even by the greatest difficulty. Therefore, of all of the things to know, the greatest to know is the self. Srila Rupa Goswami says that we have 50 or 55 of the qualities of God. That means we, the self, we are beautiful, we are effulgent, we are geniuses. What greater thing to know than to know the self? And Vada. So we teach about Vada in our hermeneutics course. So Vada means discussions aimed at finding truth. When you leave your ego with the shoes. And you're simply interested in the truth. You don't care who's right and who's wrong. Huh? And then there's Jalpa and Vitanda. So Jalpa is that you don't care about truth, you just want to win. So I was once in this long discussion with a devotee, and weeks were going by, and finally I says, "What do you want?" She said, "I want you to say that I am right." That's Jalpa. And then Vitanda, you're not even trying to establish that you're right, you're just trying to establish that the other person is wrong. You're just trying to destroy. So we should have, and we've all had all three of these discussions, I'm sure, right? Sometimes we've been the one doing them, and sometimes we've been the object of them. And we know that the only ones that make us feel really happy are Vada. And this is Krishna is Vada. And then he says he's the letter A. So this letter A, this is the most basic sound. Right? This is the sound you make. You're not using your tongue, your lips, your teeth. It's the foundational sound of all language. An inexhaustible time. Good times come, good times go, bad times come, bad times go. But there's always Krishna. And this we can remember anytime we look at our watch, we look at the time on our phone, we're trying to make an appointment, we're trying to catch a train. Anytime we're doing anything with time, we're trying to go to a meeting, we can remember Krishna is time. And all devouring death, not only the final death of this body, but the death of a job, the death of our schooling, the death of a relationship, the death of the place that we live, the death of a project, all of these things are Krishna. And as we were saying, Bali Maharaj told Sukracharya, why not give Krishna the things he's going to take away anyway? My mother gave away practically all of her stuff about a year before she died. She said, better to give with a warm hand than a cold hand. So if we've already dedicated everything to Krishna, we've already given everything to Krishna, then there's no sting when it's time for those things to be gone. This is a really interesting one. This is about the start before the start. The start before the start that we only see in hindsight. Sometimes we realize, the way this job really started, it was 2 years ago when I met so-and-so. And the reason I'm getting involved in this is I remember I read that 5 years ago. But at the time that I met that person and the time I read that and the time I went to that place, I didn't realize it was the start. It was later. It was like, it actually started then. So the start when we don't even know it's the start, that's Krishna. The fame of women who are famous for their dharma, like Sita and Draupadi, and that is Krishna. And the beauty and the fortune of women is Krishna. One time Prabhupada was meeting with some people, not devotees, and he said to this one young woman, he said, you are very beautiful, use that beauty for Krishna. It's particularly considered a feminine opulence. I made one of my professors in graduate school very happy with this verse from Bhagavad Gita. She was a rabid feminist, would be a way to describe this lady. And she hated men. She'd had some really bitter experiences in her life. And she kind of, because I was going to graduate school in Sari and Tilak, and so she kind of had an attitude about me, like you guys, put down women or something. And in one of my papers, I quoted this verse from Bhagavad Gita, and after that, she completely switched her dealings with me. She decided that Hare Krishnas were nice people after all. So the beauty of women, the fine speech of women. So it says in the Bhagavatam 9:5-7 that Sudarshan is the master of speech. So we think of Sudarshan. Sudarshan, Kavi Karnapur says, provides all of the light in the spiritual world. He's lighting up Goloka Vrindavan. So we think of speech as something that illuminates, that clarifies, but can also cut. It can also burn. And when women are speaking very nicely like this, that is Krishna. And then memory. Prabhupada talks about the ability to read many books and understand them is particularly, again, a feminine quality. And of course, women juggling so many things in a household and what this kid likes and that kid likes and what do I have to do? That is Krishna. And intelligence, or metta. So in the teachings of Queen Kunti, Srila Prabhupada writes that women generally assemble in great number in any sort of religious function. In every country and in every sect of religion, it appears that the women are more interested than the men. So I think we're about equal here. But sociologically speaking, women outnumber men in almost every religion. And Prabhupada talks about how women much more easily accept the supremacy of God. So there's a very famous verse that uses this word metta in relationship to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anyone know that verse? Su metta saha, that those who have good metta, they engage in the Sankirtan movement. So this good intelligence of women to worship the Lord, that is Krishna. And steadfastness, the faithfulness, the chastity, the steadfastness of women is Krishna. And patience. So how many of you ladies are mothers? How many of you are mothers? So do you have to be patient? Yes? I think I tell you have three choices. Patience, have someone else watch your kid, or go crazy. That's it. And this, you guys don't listen to this. Do you have to be patient with your husbands too? Yes, okay. So you didn't hear that. So that's Krishna. And Krishna says of all the poetry, he's the Gayatri. Those of us who chant the Gayatri mantra, that is God in the form of a poem. And November, December, so this would apply particularly in the northern hemisphere, where November, December are the months of harvest. What is our Gaudiya Vaishnava harvest festival? Our Gaudiya Vaishnava harvest festival. That's spring. Govardhan Puja, yes. Of course, we just had our American harvest festival, which is Thanksgiving. But so Krishna is saying he is these months of harvest, of plenty. And then he is also spring. You were saying Bhajan Panchami, that's spring. Krishna is ever youthful, and we're reminded of Krishna's youthfulness in the season of youthfulness of all of the plants and the animals, all of the flowers coming into. Yes. You like that picture? I spent a lot of time doing that one. The gambling of cheats. So gambling is a very interesting kind of cheating. Usually, if someone cheats you, you don't know they've cheated you until later. I have a good friend who was cheated out of a lot of money because, somebody called her up and told her something about her accounts that wasn't true, and you don't realize later. You look in your bank and you're like, oh my God, $5,000 is missing. But in gambling, it's open. Okay, let's sit down here and play cards, and I'm going to try to get money from you without giving you any goods or services in return. That's what cheating is. Sure, let's do that. So gambling is a very interesting kind of cheat. It's open cheating. Of the splendid, I am the splendor. The wow factor. Srila Rupa Goswami says, for any kind of rasa, there must be some adbhuta ras. There must be some wow in order to have any kind of pleasure. And that wow factor in anything is Krishna. Victory. Sense of victory is Krishna. Adventure. Actually, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says we should see our whole life as an adventure with Krishna. The strength of the strong. So before Krishna says he's strength without passion and desire, but here he says he's all strength. So what did Hiranyakashipu ask Prahlad about strength? Yes. Where did you get your superhuman power from? And he knew he couldn't kill Prahlad because he tried it didn't work. So now he was trying to kill Prahlad's source. And what did Prahlad say? Same place you get yours. So even the demons, their strength is Krishna. And if we feel safe walking down the street because criminals are in jail, that punishment of criminals is Krishna. This is a really interesting one. Morality. So we don't win all of our battles, right? Sometimes we lose them, but sometimes we keep our integrity. Maybe we lost the battle. Maybe we didn't get what we wanted. Maybe we didn't get what we fought for, but we didn't lose our principles. Have we all done that? We stuck to our principles, and at the end, didn't we feel that was a kind of victory? I kept my integrity. That's Krishna. Silence. So Prabhupada writes in a purport to this verse, which is 1038, silence is the deepest act of listening. He writes, among the confidential activities of hearing, thinking, and meditating, silence is most important because by silence one can make progress very quickly. We often wonder if God hears us, but in silence we can hear him. Of wise I am the wisdom, when we have insight, when we have realization, that is Krishna. And again, Krishna says he's the seed. So we're all eating so many seeds. Most human cultures have seeds as their staple foods. Wheat, rice, corn, buckwheat, rye, even all of our beans are all seeds, a lot of our spices. It's the concentrated energy of the plant. Whenever we're eating foods that are seeds, we can remember Krishna is the seed. And this is such a nice one to meditate on, that even if you took all the amazing, opulent, glorious things of the world and put them together, it's just a tiny spark of how wonderful Krishna is. So we looked at chapters 7, 9, and 10. Now there's a few verses in chapter 15. Splendor of the sun, the beauty of sunrise, the glory of full moon, the subtle beauty of sunset, the splendor of the moon, looking like a pearl in the sky, making diamonds on reflections in the water, the splendor of fire. The other night I was with some devotees, they lit a bonfire outside and we were looking at the fire dancing in the woods and in the embers. And I said, oh, this splendor of fire, that's Krishna. Keeping all the planets in orbit. Generally, when we're in a moving vehicle, we can feel it's moving. You feel the car is moving, the plane, the bus, but the earth is moving so fast. Do you feel it? Amazing pilot. And the moon, that's also nourishing what we eat. The flavors, the vitamins, and the food we eat is coming from the moon. And the fire of digestion. How does that work? Right? My fingernails, yesterday, they were japatis. Right? How does broccoli turn into my nose? Amazing. What a nice thing to meditate on when we're eating. And not only the fire of digestion, Krishna's moving with the air of life, with the prana, to move our food from our mouth to our esophagus, to our stomach, to our small intestine, to our large intestine. And hopefully you don't see Jai Hari with problems with your food in your large intestine. Maybe if you really meditate on how Krishna is joining with the prana, you won't have to meet him in the operating theater. And then this is a favorite verse of my family. So whenever we couldn't find anything, Mata, I can't find my sock, I'd say just chant Bhagavad Gita 15:15. Sarvasya chaham riddhi sannivisto matas matirganam apohanam cha, where Krishna says, from me comes knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So then our kids would go around, Sarvasya chaham riddhi sannivisto matas matirganam, oh, I found it! Right? So one time when I was traveling, one devotee said to me, Urmila, I can't find my phone. And I said, well, just chant 15:15. So she starts walking around the room going, 15:15, 15:15. And if you're watching, hi. Okay, so I told you I'd have a special treat for you. And here we go. Maybe we can turn off some of the lights. Are there a bunch of kids in some of those rooms? Can someone get them? Are there more kids hiding somewhere? Okay, well, I'm just going to start. Oops. Needed to go all the way back to the beginning. Oops. Somehow it didn't go.
strength and strong, free of lust and desire. The seed of existence, the prowess of man. These are some more ways to see what I am. What I am. These are some more ways. These are some more ways. These are some more ways to see what I am. There is nothing that exists without
hope you like that. That, of course, was music by Mahatma Prabhu. Thank you very much. And I think there's prasadam, but we do have some books here, and I'm happy to sign them for you. So again, thank you very much. Anything good in this presentation is from Srila Prabhupada, our acharyas, and the Shastra. Anything bad in this presentation is my responsibility. So if there's anything bad here, please correct me or ignore it. Prabhupada ki jai.
Mataji, can we take any questions, one or two, if any?
Oh, Prabhu, it is 8:25.
Okay.
I've been traveling all day.
Okay, no worries, afterwards. So we all can have prasadam now. We can sing prasadam. Right? Books? Yeah.
There's only limited amount of career dharma, so I think she brought only 5. So please.
There's not a lot of any of them.
Yeah.
But that one, yeah. There are more.
Because tomorrow it'll go as well too. So if you need it, take it tonight.